Hello and welcome. I am Dr. Lara, a clinical pharmacist specializing in functional medicine, as well as a certified yoga teacher and Reiki master. I run a truly integrative health coaching practice encompassing functional medicine lab testing, yoga and meditation, and a sprinkling of Reiki energy medicine. Join me here on Light Body Radio to break through your health plateau and come into alignment with your natural vitality. Hello and welcome to Light Body Radio. I am your host, Dr. Lara May. And today we have a wonderful guest with us. It's Audrye Arbe. Am I saying that right? Arbe? Yes. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yeah, so she is a born mystic intuitive, now clairvoyant, healer, empath, light channel, mostly raw vegan, speaker, award-winning artist and author, located in beautiful Costa Rica, originally from the New York City and Fort Lauderdale area together. And so today we're going to talk about some energy healing things, something called genetic karmic patterning, which I am really excited to bring forward, and anything else that comes up. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is an honor. Hi, everyone.
My pleasure. So tell us a little bit about your journey and how you came to be really bringing this genetic pattern, karmic patterning to your clients and to the public, and just a little bit about yourself.
Okay. So I'm a natural born mystic intuitive, and I was born at a time this was not a regular conversation at all. Now it is. I was born before. And so my journey was really discovering what in the world I am and who I am. And so I did various things to kind of learn and discovered I am, how do we want to say this in the most positive way? I'm not like a regular normal person. People say I'm extraordinary and all of that rather than any other kind of language one can use, because I've always been able to sense and see and feel things. Not everything. It isn't like I know everything all of a sudden, no. But I know stuff. Always have. And have a way of thinking that I now call mystic intuitive, because it is how I think. And when I began doing readings, which actually started when I was at a friend's house in the city means New York, and that means Manhattan. And she knew I was kind of doing some of the stuff. And yes, I've studied. I'm going to tell everyone, no matter what your gifts are, study, grow, develop, enhance them. That's part of the journey. Mm-hmm. And she asked me to tune in on whatever it was. I did. She opened her purse. She put a $20 bill in my hand. I started to return it because this was a friend. She said, no. She said, you are now professional. You now accept money, and closed my hand on it. And whenever that year was, I then accept money. It is no longer $20. Let me tell you, it is definitely a different price. And that was only for what, 10 minutes? It was short. And all of that. And so as I'm studying and doing readings and healings and energy things, the guides told me that when we are born, when human beings are born, in addition to being the cute little beings that we are, we also have this thing that they call genetic karmic patterning. So for short, I call it GKP, genetic karmic patterning. And what it is, and everyone has this, you don't escape without, oh, that's the right verb. You don't get born or escape without it. What it is, I'll use like regular language. It's kind of vibrational or imprints or something from previous experiences that one antecedents have had, your biological family going back for however much it may go back. environments one may have been in, as well as, because we have been in many more environments than the Earth environment. We are a multi-dimensional being that has had many experiences in other, I'm going to say, venues of the planet, of the timelines, and there can be traces of attitudes, belief systems, tendencies within a person from all of this. I now know some people use the term epigenetics. GKP goes way deeper. Epigenetics is only about biology. This is deeper and beyond. But I do find it interesting because the guides told me this years before I ever heard of that now science is substantiated. I'm sorry, what the guides told me years ago. And some of the GKT is wonderful. If one, for instance, has some innate talent to, say, play the piano or to paint or anything like that, that's wonderful. But what if someone might have a tendency to have a racist attitude or to keep falling down on their knees because of any number of previous influences? This isn't something one would want to maintain. And so what I've learned is the way, first of all, to kind of start looking at oneself and one's family and see what tendencies might be there. And one can use affirmations and that kind of thing. However, the deepest thing I have so far learned that can be of help is energy healing. I am an energy healer. I am often called a light channel. My fancy, if people want fancy, I am also called the transformational goddess of light. To me, I am Audrey, a natural born mystic intuitive who's also done a lot of this stuff, all of it actually, that Dr. Lara discussed. And if you're going to ask, do I choose and work on healing any of the GKP within me? Yes, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. Because especially now on our planet, the Earth, on the timeline that we're on right now, it is incredibly important that we free ourselves as much as possible of any kind of, I would use the term negative and put it in quotes, attitude, belief system, imprints, whatever, because we're coming to the end of the Piscean age, if you want to use that language, also certain yugas, and we're entering, we've got our feet in it already, the age of Aquarius. And it's very important to learn the lessons of the age of Pisces, which quite frankly, many people have not. And they have a misunderstanding, in my personal opinion, of what it was really all about. And I, for one, choose to live in as high a vibrational level as possible, which also means having fun and laughing and all of this. It isn't some, that's not a high vibration. And it's more fun and one stays healthier. I mean, I'm in my 8th decade and I can still dance and jump and do all that kind of stuff. And I do. And I'm grateful for it. So that's kind of a synopsis.
That's beautiful. So you said something that I'm curious about, and you said, you know, not everyone sees the transition from Piscean to Aquarian age the same. So tell us a little bit your perspective and how you see it and some of the information and downloads you've gotten from your guides.
All right, so the age of Pisces, these ages are around 2,000 years. That doesn't mean it's exact. It's not like on a certain date, that's when it happens, and ta-da, snap your fingers, and everything's different. It is not like that. It's a, I would like to say a gentle movement, but not always gentle. Look at what's going on the Earth right now. Not all of it's so gentle, okay? But that's also due, in my opinion, it's all my, I'm the guides and blah, blah, because humans have been living very out of balance with one's own self and with one another, and for sure, many people with the Earth. So the age of Pisces was meant to be where we learn that we're all part of spirit, and that we're here to learn that and be of help. Now, what many people instead took on, and if anything gets triggered in you as I say any of this, pay attention to that. I'm not saying I'm right and you're wrong. I'm giving a perspective, and we are multidimensional. And now that many people are delving into what I'm going to call quantum reality and cosmic reality and timelines, so there's a lot. We were not meant to learn or be masochistic and thinking that we are here to, let me find a good word to say this, to suffer, to just plain suffer. Yeshua, and yes, I'm going to say that word, commonly known as Jesus, but that was never his name. That is a translation from the Greek, from the light. Christos is that. As I understand it, and I did do some studying, I do believe his name was Yeshua. His mom didn't say, Jesus, please come in. That was not, no. What he taught was a way to live, a way to be, a way to connect to what I'm going to call main creator, source. And because at the time, the language was very patriarchal, so he used the term he, father, and he was born Jewish to the best of my ability of knowing and seeing. And that was the language as I understand it. But he was very kind to women. He, according to certain studies, some of his disciples were women.
Oh,
So
yes.
a lot of
Yes.
people, yes, okay. Some of his highest and best disciples, according to many, and I happen to agree with this, he was married. Some say he had children. Not everybody wants to look at that because it goes against their conditioned belief system. But I'm not here on this earth to follow someone's belief system. I'm not even here to follow my own. I'm here to learn and grow and share what it is I learn and grow with so we can all grow. And that includes me, by the way. And so a lot of people have mistaken that. Did he die for our sins? No, no. If someone, quote unquote, died for your sin, what are you learning? Nothing, nothing. There is nowhere where you are learning personal responsibility for whatever you may have done or omitted doing. And that's part of why we're here, to evolve, not to suffer. That's not why we're here. And not to lord it over anyone. I'm right, you're wrong. No, 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 no. That's part of what's leaving. And
Right.
so, I'm sorry?
Oh, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I think, um, a lot of the learning and on this plane and of existence within the earth realm is really about managing our free will. And,
Yes,
do we want to choose the light or do we want to choose the dark? We have the option to choose either or, and also facing the consequences of those choices. But knowing
yes,
at any time that even if we go down a dark path, at any moment we can make a different choice, and then that changes our trajectory and our path.
exactly. Exactly. And if anyone's going to ask, have I ever made quote unquote mistakes? Yes, of course. I'm also on an earth journey. But some of
Right.
my choices, I do my best to live from my heart and soul. I really do. And not everybody, and what the guides say, and not everybody wants that. People want what they want, which may not be what I'm guided to do. And at this point, I'm in my 8th decade. Okay, I follow that.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, and I think I
but
think I think you bring up a good point too, that just because, we are let's say, like for myself, one of my daily practices is to connect to source light and
Yes.
to, bring in the light and make sure that my energetic space and integrity is as high as it possibly can be. But that doesn't mean that's where I'm going to be all day long. Ideally that would be great, but we go in and out. We have situations that are presented to us. We react or we don't, or, we bring compassion or not judgment where maybe we wouldn't before. But it's all, like you said, it's almost like a reincarnation in every single moment of every single day if we allow it to be. And again, giving us ourselves the grace for that imperfection, but knowing that we always have another chance to choose better, to be better, to love more, to be more understanding, more compassionate. And um I think it's amazing, but at the same time, if we're not aware, then it's like you said earlier, it's really easy. A lot of people have not come to this awareness and this realization, and it's very easy to just get swept up in all of the crap that's, happening on this planet on the daily and being completely bombarded by news and negativity and all of that stuff. So just because we know it's the path doesn't mean it's easy, but that's part of making the choice to stay on the path of the light, so to speak, I think.
Yeah, I do believe in attunements every day. I will teach one, if you allow me, the listening process that I learned from my wonderful teacher, Patricia Hayes, different than Louise Hay when I was studying the psychic healing art.
Yeah,
I've
I
had a
love
few
that.
teachers. She's one of them. This
Hmm.
is something people can do every single day. It's easy and you can take a long time, a short time, um, float around with it and all of that. But again, let me say what I feel about the age of Aquarius that we're in the beginning of.
Yes.
This is things are done in groups, not everyone a group. We're not a hive mind. That to me would be horrifying. It would be like the Borg. Can I see that as a negative outcome? Yes, I can. That would be a misuse of the age of Aquarius. That is not what it's meant to be any more than the age of Pisces was meant to be a bunch of people being somewhat masochistic or giving up the responsibility for their own life and then wondering why it didn't work out because we are responsible for our own life. It's ours. That is the glory of it and the blessing of it. And sometimes, for any of us, the challenge of it. But let's face it, we're human. Who would want a life that there's no challenge whatsoever? Then it's boring. And if we're really living in a loving place, which means creating that inside. I remember some years ago when I was starting to write online courses. I've got, how many do I have? I have four of them. No, I have three of them. I have three of them. And three or four, I have to think. Okay, three. And a person I was going to work with said, what is the first thing a person needs to be or do when they're on the path of quote unquote self-actualization? I said, absolutely love themselves. And when I was doing a lot of live courses, workshops, all that, whether in New York or in the Fort Lauderdale area, um, I had people doing this, and I would ask, how many people here love themselves? And most hands would go up. And then I would ask, how many love their body? Hands would go down. How many love their work? Or please, and hands would go down. So loving yourself doesn't have to mean you're perfect or you think your body is the most perfect thing ever. That's just ego. But if you don't love your body, you're not loving yourself. And no, we are not the body, but we're living in the body. I mean, some people call it our avatar self. And if we don't love it, we're not taking care of it. And if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your soul. Because this is part of what the soul uses to traipse around here. The age of Aquarius is different. It's an air sign. It's fixed. It likes technology. And boy, are we going to have technology. there's going to be a lot. It likes things unique, different. And in my personal opinion, I think there's going to be a lot more information about AI and whatever the next thing is. And we have to be really careful about how we deal with AI, because if we create, and I'm not a techie person per se, I'm much more metaphysician than physicist, but I am learning. Okay, I do read about the quantum realm, and if you want to find somebody brilliant, look into Nassim, Nassim, Harriman, Harramein, a true genius, similar to Nikola Tesla, but he's alive now. And if with AI, they can become, if they're made a certain way, actually self-aware, then it's like they're another species. Then we as humans have to give them that respect and not use them as a tool. If, however, the way it's designed, and I'm not the one designing these things, they're used as a tool, it's different. Then it still has to be done with respect, not in a slavey way, which is part of what is getting healed now. I personally think we're going to have a lot more, how do I even want to say this, diversity in terms of maybe people with gender. I don't know what it will be. I would change some of the language now, because trans male or trans female, no, I think we need completely different language, because there's such a difference in physicality. But again, that's me, and I'm open and respectful of this. When someone told me that I didn't breastfeed my daughter, I chest feeded her. No, I breastfed her. And if they said that a trans female would be hurt by that, why? That's not any insult to somebody else. I breastfed her. I
Right.
definitely didn't breastfeed her. So we have to start really looking at loving ourselves, respecting and loving others. And that's a journey. Some of that, it would have been nice to have happened in the Piscean age, but we can see it did not all happen. I think we're going to be meeting beings from elsewhere, and I mean other planets,
Mm-hmm.
other timelines. We are in for a very interesting time. We're going to be on other planets. There may be people who decide they're going to put, I don't know how many people know anything about CRISPR, capital CRISPR. I know a smidge. That is, okay, I am probably going to say it not exactly scientifically correctly, but that is a quote unquote technique that can go into the genes and change some of them, and the change goes down the genetic line. If the person
Yes.
who did had it done to themselves and they have a child, whatever they change, that gets inherited.
Yes.
Do I think some people will mess around with it? Yeah, I do. Do I think it's fabulous that we have it? I do. We can get rid of certain diseases that nobody needs, like sickle cell anemia. But again, people have to be careful with what they do. And I will ask, is our species always thoughtful and careful and wise? I will just leave that there. So it's up
Mm-hmm.
to all of us to do the best we can. And the lessons, the growth from the age of Pisces, that we're all a piece of creation. Source, God, goddess, the light. I like that, the light. It doesn't have a sexual connotation to me. It's all of us. That's what we're
Right.
made of. And
Yeah.
when we really get that everyone, even if they're acting like, oh, I don't want to name names and I don't want to use street talk, and yes, I know some of it, okay? So even if somebody is acting like who, they still are made of light. They just may have forgotten it and gone into what I'll call negative ego. And there's enough of those that we can really clean that up. That's a choice. And according to some other healers, I thought it was 10%. Some are saying 10, some are saying 20, some are saying 30. So I'll just toss that out there. When 10, 20, 30% of global population is living at the level of light, quote unquote, some level of enlightenment, that's when we hit the turning point, and it becomes easier for other people to access that. If you know the parable of the 100 monkeys, it's the same kind of thing. So that's the age of Aquarius that we are in. And Pluto, the planet Pluto, is going to go forward into Aquarius on November 19th and be there for between 19 and 20 years. We will be getting a real taste of it. And as I said, that's only 19 or 20 years. And age is 2,000 years. So that's a taste.
Right.
And
sorry, keep going.
Neptune is changing sign in next year, 2025, in April. No, it's actually, I looked it up, March 31st. It's going from Pisces to Aries for about 14 years. I checked. That's going to be a huge change. And then the next year, let's see, 2026, Uranus goes from Taurus into Gemini. I didn't check the date, although I could. I have my ephemeris right here. And that's going to be there for quite a while. With those three outer planets, that's going to make a huge difference. And it doesn't matter if anyone knows astrology or anything. That's irrelevant. It happens to us energetically. And the Earth and the solar system are now moving through the photon belt. So we're getting charged with light. This doesn't happen all the time. So this is major changes. I'm saying this so we can all do something to ready ourselves up. And does that mean we'll all be ready? I laugh as I say that. When the unexpected is coming, how do you prepare? You
Right.
do the best.
Yeah, we do the best we can with the tools we've been given, which is one of the reasons I do this show and have guests like you on, so that we can maybe start to somewhat prepare ourselves and sort of lay the groundwork. And like I said, have the daily connection and energy clearing practices and grounding too. It's not just all about, being like up in the ethers in your head. It's really, I think, about being balanced and again, just grounded and as connected as possible, but also, keeping in mind that we're at the beginning of this transition. And so it's sort of like, maybe we should also not be surprised when the upheaval is happening, because I imagine that would be part of the process. I don't know any transition, whether we talk about it in a scientific lens or a spiritual lens, that's not involving some sort of upheaval. Right now we're in, mid-October of 2024. We've had northern lights all the way as far south as the southeastern part of the United States and California, where I live. And we have a comet right now. So we're definitely getting downloads of light codes if you're open to receiving them. And so if you're open to connecting to your guides, and I'm even talking about, like you said, like galactic guides and masters, because I also believe that we are, star people, star children. Yes, we're human, and yes, we chose this incarnation in human bodies, but our souls and everything we're made up of actually also comes from the stars. So again, I think that's just a perfect illustration in physicality that we are all connected, we are all one, and that we are all infinite. And this isn't our first go around.
No.
And how exciting is that? I think it's exciting and fascinating too, because I also think it allows us to be, at least from my perspective in my head, a little bit more gentle with myself. Like, okay, yes, I might have been here before or had many lives before this, but I get another chance. And if I don't get it perfect or right in this life, then I'll get another chance.
But consider that whatever we call the all in all, I'll use the term source. I go goddess, God, source, a great spirit. I'll throw them all out. Okay, I don't mean throw them away. I mean, like, use any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not only male. Let go of that. Let go of that concept. In fact, if anything, the universe probably female because she keeps birthing stuff, and women are the birthers, the ones that birth. Okay, they do need to get a seed and all that, but that's a whole other kind of conversation. So a lot of concepts are going to be blah, 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 blah. I think, and there are others who feel this, and I was shown this, that the all in all, whatever it is, has chosen to make itself into a whole lot of different things. Right now it's humans, but there's other creatures. So the all in all can have an experience of what that's like that then enriches whatever the all in all is. And so if you're going to ask, does that mean that Goddess God does not know everything all at once? Yes, it could mean that. That there's always more and learning and evolving and more and more. Yes, it's not static. Look, I had a near-death experience. I had a near-death experience when I was birthing my daughter. And I didn't see any silver cord. All of a sudden, I'm counting down because this was an emergency C-section. I had what's called placenta abruption. If people don't know what that is, it means there was blood coming out of the area that my daughter was supposed to birth through. It's not a good thing when one is pregnant. I was 6 weeks short of due date. So my former spouse rushed me through taxi in New York City to our hospital where I was going to have my daughter. And we prepped me for this emergency C-section. And as I'm counting down, all of a sudden, I was in this place that I had no idea where I was. And it was filled with energy and light, just filled with it. And it was filled with love. And my physical body was going through getting whatever the stuff is that they give a person to anesthetize them. And the me, was in this place. And no, I didn't feel floaty or anything. I felt like I had a body and legs and all of that, by the way. And these shiny light beings. And no, they were not who you might say from the Bible, it was this one, it was that one. No, that's your own belief system. They were these shiny light beings, and there were a number of them. And one of them I seemed to know more than the others. And they spoke with me. I don't remember everything they said. I wish I did, but I don't. But in essence, I asked where I was, and they said what they said. And then I said, that wasn't real. So I tracked myself from when I woke up and I said, oh, I'm birthing my daughter. That's what I'm doing. And where am I? They said, your body's birthing your daughter. You are here. And I was given the choice to live or die. And it was done with the most amazing love and beauty and wonder and the colors there. Oh my God. I'm an artist. And if you want to see some of the gorgeous colors I use, go to Audrye now, AudryeNow.com, and look at the gorgeous frequency stones I paint. Look at the paintings that right now are in Florida galleries. Yes, they're available. But look, this is beyond anything. And I knew if I went into, like, I'll call it a certain door, I was not coming out. I thought I was being texted. I knew I wouldn't come out. I also knew that nothing was going to stop me from having my daughter. That was the highest priority, the most important thing in the world to me. So I said, no, I'm going to live. And I stamped my little foot. I say little because I might have been 5'1.5 inches then. I am 4'10" now, so my little foot. And I said I was going to live. I was going to have my daughter. I was going to do this. Nothing was going to stop me. And they said, especially the one I seemed to know, lovingly and caringly, amazingly, that if I did choose to do that, it was going to be difficult. I was going to do it alone. and I would have to take off my rose-colored glasses. And if anyone doesn't know that expression, it means I would have to see life more clearly and not any more positively. I readily agreed. I'm glad they didn't say I was going to have to stand on my head. And after I agreed a couple times, that's when I came out of it. I heard as though from a wind tunnel, "You have a healthy baby girl. You have a healthy baby girl." And I was in the hospital on a thing, I think you called, I'm not sure. My ex was there. Well, he wasn't my ex then. He's my ex now. In fact, he's not here now. He passed away when my daughter was 2. I really have done this alone. Anyway, and I looked at him, he looked at me. I said, "Tell me you love me." He said, "I love you." And that's when I really clicked into my body. And I had him check that my daughter had a bracelet that had her name, because at the time there were stories of people stealing babies and blah, 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 blah. My daughter was born 3 pounds, 12 ounces. She is now 5'6", gorgeous, stunning, brilliant, a mother, a successful career woman, and married. I may not have achieved some of that stuff in that way, but she did. She is living what for her is her dream.
Mm-hmm.
I am living. I'm an artist. I'm creative. I'm doing what I choose to do. And now I'm on podcast. So I'm not even sure quite how I got here. But I mean, like how I got to say this, how I said right here. So I apologize if I got off topic.
No, we're good. We're great.
Life is astounding. I know there's something beyond this. I've touched it. I've spoken to the being. And that was only a little teeny weeny bit. And no, I didn't die. Because I'm having my daughter and all of that, and grandchildren, and all of this kind of thing. So life, in case I'm being prompted to say this, in case anyone listening ever gets so depressed, and I've been there, that you want to, how do we want to say this, that you want to terminate your earth existence, please get some help. Well, I'm not saying there isn't ever a time to do that. That's another conversation. But not if you're depressed. That can be changed. That can be changed with food, with healing, with energy work, with a therapist, with a hug. It can be changed. And when you really love yourself, because I contemplated it when I was in my 20s and did not love myself. And I remember the time when I actually was happy and I did not want to be a nothing, because that was my belief system at the time. If you die, you're nothing. That was not, nope, I was not that. But I can tell you, you're not nothing. We continue. And all of that. And it's glorious to be alive. Some of it is difficult. I grant you that. I'm certainly not going to tell you it's not. Some of it can be yuck, 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 yuck. And we can make choices. That's why we're here. To make it as glorious as we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I was born knowing, I've always known that I'm here to make things better. That's the language I used as a kid. The language I use now is to up-level frequency, to share the light. I've been called, I'm called a lot of stuff. I've been called a lighthouse, a light channel. I've been called a starseed. Do I know if I'm a starseed? I honestly don't know, but I've been called it by people who said they are, and I should simply accept it. What I know, what I absolutely know, is that we're all light. I can facilitate that in anyone who chooses it, no matter where you come from or what you've been through, and that living is glorious.
So
and I know that.
Yeah, so on that note, let's dive a little bit deeper into the genetic karmic patterning. Maybe tell us a little bit more about what it is and how it works, and how it can help maybe those that are struggling with whether it's, depression, anxiety, other forms of mental illness, or, even thinking about, transitioning themselves to the other side, perhaps.
Okay, perfect. And then I'd like to do the lifting process. We can
Yes.
complete with that.
Yes.
I need at least 5 minutes to do that. 7,
Okay.
even better.
That's fine.
That would, and people will float. You'll feel good. Okay,
Yeah.
so say somebody use a real example. My sister passed away. I'm the firstborn in my family. My sister passed away in July, and I was not happy about that. Uh, One of my friends who can tune in and speak with people who are on the other side said that my sister told her she was born angry. She always had anger, and she didn't as a kid, but I can assure you she did as an adult. Did she ever want to listen to the stuff I said? No, she did not generally. So say you're born, or you find you've got a lot of anger, or say you might be prone to depression, which at one point I am. So the first thing is to become aware of it, okay? Because if you're not aware of it, there's not very much that anyone can do. And you want to like have it different. So one, you could say this one and that one and the other one has it in the family. And then you decide, you literally make a decision, you choose how you'd like to be. You might want to be more balanced. You might, and I completely agree with you, Dr. Lara, we have to be centered. I'm in Costa Rica. I go to the beach just about every day and walk in the water. And that is extremely grounding and centering. Okay, I live a way more natural life here where I live than I did in the city or in Florida. And it's needed now. It's needed. So, but getting back to this, so say someone has that, but my biggest recommendation is get an energy healer, literally. Call me. I do this work, and you don't have to be anywhere near me. I can do this anywhere. I tune in, I lift my frequency, and I'm going to teach you a way through the lifting process that you also can lift your frequency. And then because I don't know how to explain how I do this, only I know it, okay? Whether you call me a healer or a shamanic healer, there's all kind of words. I will literally, once you've given permission, and we've agreed on this, and some of the outcome, shift, pull the energy, because we can do this, and then send it to the light, and then send and channel light into you, which we are light, so it's not a foreign substance. And then let the person, I use my own little lingo for this, float afterwards. It's like you sit and you lie in your own energy. I do this with the people either. Of course, I don't do this with groups. Not generally, no. This I do singly, like individually. And they can be sitting or lying down, not standing, because when I do this, you could sway, because this is real stuff. And then after a session, which is usually an hour, because we do talking before and then this, and then kind of coming back to whatever is what's going to be your new level of energy, and then some speaking on that so you could leave and be able to function in your life. And it could take several sessions. Some of this stuff is like, okay, for many, and I've done this with clients. I mean, I know this. And then the person, after I do whatever I'm going to do, stays in their energy. I usually leave them alone so they're in their energy, not my energy, for maybe 7 minutes. And then I'll bring them out, okay, in a very gentle, loving way. And when they're then able to talk, because right away they won't want to, they're going to be in a floaty place. We talk about what they experienced, how they felt. And whenever I do a healing like this, I suggest that my clients set up at least 2 hours afterwards where they're not doing anything, where they can just relax. And in New York, that was always interesting. New York, a busy place. Okay. And I mean, like, really, even to get home could be subway, whatever. Okay.
Right.
So, and then they kind of take that time for themselves. So the energy kind of coheres. And that's the wrong word. If I say coagulate, wrong word, but it kind of comes together. And they become like whatever that next level is for who they are. And no, you're still yourself. You don't become another person. You're just more who you really are without that. Okay, so one of my slang terms is without that junk that you don't need. And it's just energy. So if we send it to the light and ask it to come back as light, we also, that's another, but this has to be taken out. And then I send light into the person. We don't leave them with quote unquote empty spaces. That is not done. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. A person might need more than one session. I can't tell someone how many sessions, like if you ask me how many sessions, depends what it is. I've worked with actually a few people in the same family from a culture that wasn't from the United States, and they had OMG a whole bunch of this stuff, and so I worked on that with them. And one was my regular client, the other was a family member, and she had permission, or I would not touch it because I need permission to do this. And they felt different. And that was it. So that helped heal a bunch of, I'll call it whatnot and bruja, that had been going on in the family for a while. But you have to be ready for it.
Right.
I even discovered this because not everybody, this surprised me, but I'm going to say now surprised me. When I did it, I'm also a Rohan therapist. That's a whole other kind of thing that I learned with Patricia Hayes. And when I did a session with somebody, they felt so good. Afterwards, they told me, this is the part I found absolutely strange, that they could not allow themselves to feel that good. So they literally called back, not in my presence, because I would have had a conversation with them, okay, to have whatever the yuckety thing was that was shifted there because they were used to it. So when we do some of this work, I say we, because it's me and the guides. It isn't me, the ego identity called Audrye. That is not who does it.
Mm-hmm.
It's me, the up-level soul with the guides that does this, just so they understand this. And that's just words. And we have to be willing to feel good, which means releasing guilt and releasing judgment and whatever stuff somebody may have been holding. That's why sometimes a person might require more than one session. When I had certain things and had certain healers helping me with certain things that I had experienced, it was not always one session. It was sometimes a little more. And then I really was free. And is it worth it? Oh my God. Yes. My gosh. Yes. 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 Yes.
Yeah.
We have the possibility to live, oh my God, way over 100 years. But it doesn't happen just because you live in a certain place. That's not what does it. It's what you do within yourself. Part of it is the food you eat. That is part of it. Part of it is how you think. Part of it is what you allow yourself. Part of it is how you cleanse internally, externally. It's a whole gestalt of stuff. But yeah, does it work? Yes. Yes. If you're going to ask me, can I absolutely guarantee results? I'm going to say what I can guarantee is you'll feel better. I don't know what results somebody might desire, nor do I know right now, speaking with Dr. Lara, what situation they are in or how deep something might be. So can I guarantee absolute? No, I'm not going to guarantee that. I am going to guarantee you will feel better. That, yes.
Well, and I think just so people understand too, anytime you go to any type of energy healer, yes, we, the practitioner, are working with our guides and angels in conjunction with the client's higher self guides and angels, as well as your physical
Yes.
presence. But then there's always,
Yes.
again, this piece of free will. So how much are you willing to
Yes.
receive? And then once you receive it, how much are you willing to integrate and carry forward into your own life? And so yeah, just like you said, like it's we as the practitioners can only do so much. Like and again, like we're the conduits. So it's
Yep.
I like to tell people like I'm holding space for the wiser higher beings to do the real work. But then,
Yeah.
then it's about again grounding what has come through, those downloads, the clearings, the healings, all of the different things that happen, grounding them and integrating into the physical, and then again moving forward with this new vibration, with this new resonance, new understanding, new awareness.
And doing certain practices to
Mm-hmm.
help maintain that. I mean, I do the breathing, I do various, but my favorite, for a while is the lifting process. And it's easy. And I do it daily, sometimes for a longer period of time, sometimes shorter, but yeah. And I do others. I do some of the Heart Math Institute. Heart
Mm-hmm.
Math Institute, look them up, HMI,
Yes, they're a
and do
fabulous
some of their
institution.
practices. Okay. I mean, to me, anyone that's got a computer or a phone, okay, I know that's technical stuff, has access to so much stuff. And if you live like where I live, and yes, I obviously have a laptop, or maybe not obviously, and a phone, but I also have the beach. And I'm on, as I said, the African Caribbean coast, which is a little more natural and raw, perhaps, than the Pacific coast, which is part of why I'm here. And just being here, which could have some shortcomings. Electricity can sometimes go out. There's not always water. Am I a fan of that? Not particularly. But it gets fixed. It gets fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do I learn? The P word, patience,
Mm-hmm.
which we all need to know, and still moving forward in the face of. So resilience. You've all heard these words. They're very popular now. They are part of life. And will they be even more necessary as we move forward into the age of Aquarius? Yes. And the biggest thing, it's going to sound really simple, live from love. Start with yourself. That will help you get through whatever's going on. And don't let yourself be misused. That's a no.
Mm-hmm.
That's really a no. That is not love, letting oneself be misused. No, that's masochism.
Yeah.
And some
So,
people have confused it. Can I
yeah.
do the lifting practice?
Yes. I was just going to ask you if you wanted to do the breathing attunement or the lifting practice,
Yes,
whichever you would like to do. I am open to.
it is that. Yes, thank you. May I tell people how to reach me in case they're all floating off?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Let's do that first while we're all still
Okay.
grounded in the conversation.
Yeah. Okay. Best way at the moment to reach me is my website, and it is constantly being updated. Constantly. Okay. And it's Audrey Now, and that is spelled AudryeNow.com. I'm even going to give out a phone number. I mean, I have a US SIM card, so if you're in the United States, it's a local call. And my number was 917-494-0628. I will take real calls. If you're not going to end up speaking to me, because I'm not rude. Well, I have been, but I'm by and large, I'm not rude. But this is very real stuff. This is very real stuff. So it's Audrey Now, AudryeNow.com. I will be starting and revving up my YouTube channel. I was on Instagram and all that stuff. My assistant, my personal assistant, is looking into that because I don't even remember how to get into them. But I will be, and he'll be keeping it updated, because do I like doing all this techie stuff? No, not particularly, but it needs to be done now, and I recognize that. But I do like doing YouTube. I do like sharing and doing that. I didn't used to. It scared the daylights out of me. Now I love it. So that's that. So
Beautiful.
thank you, to prepare for the lifting process. If you're driving a car, if you're using a knife to cut an apple or a tomato or whatever, That's what you're doing. Because when you do this, you're going to be closing your eyes. You're going to be sitting down. You're going to do that. So if you have to pay attention, if you're watching a kid, to third dimensional reality, do that. And then listen to this radio show again and really get into it and learn it. So I'm a light channel. I will start, if you allow it, I'll be sending light and energy to you. If you don't want it, you just say, I don't want it, and it won't go to you. It's that simple. And I'll be repeating several words in different ways. And that's all you basically need to know, because you're going to be getting lighter and lighter, higher and higher, freer and freer. And the part that I do at first, you can just do that for yourself or simply start that. And you do your best to breathe from your diaphragm. But again, I'm not going to teach that right now. That's another situation. So I'm going to take a moment to upraise my frequency so I can guide this from the space that I prefer to guide this from. And thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Taking a nice deep breath, abdomen, chest, throat, and head. Hold and release. Let go. Breathe in shining white light into your heart. Fill up with protection. You're being blessed. You're protected. You are safe. And release. Breathe in golden light, beautiful, sparkling golden light into every part of your being. You're filled with energy. You're filled with gratitude. You're filled with grace. You are safe. You are prosperous. You are blessed. And now, continue breathing at your own pace, in your own way, and allow yourself to get higher and higher, lighter and lighter, freer and freer. You're getting higher, higher, lighter, and freer. Higher, lighter, freer. Continue breathing. You're blessed. You're protected. You're safe. You're getting higher, lighter, freer. I shall now be silent for a few moments. You can keep your eyes closed and allow yourself to experience your experience. I will be back shortly and bring you forward through this. Enjoy. Keeping your eyes closed, slowly at your own pace. You may begin to wiggle your fingers and toes gently, gently at your own pace. You may move your hands on your wrist, your feet on your ankles, and again, gently, slowly. As you feel ready, you may gently begin to move your body. You may slowly pat your body or sway, move gently your body. And when you feel ready and your head is gently upright on your neck, facing forward, and you feel ready, you may slowly, gently begin to open your eyes. And again, gently and caringly, when you feel ready, you may begin to speak. How do you feel? Is Dr. Lara still there?
Yes, I'm here. I was allowing others
Okay,
in their own space to bring in whatever they felt for themselves. That was beautiful. Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Oh, I
Do
feel
this
warm
every
and
day.
grounded. Yes.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. And just
And if you,
basking in
I'm
this
sorry, go
beautiful
ahead.
energy. I was just going to say, and just bask in the beautiful energy. And I think this is a beautiful practice to help people feel what it's like to love themselves, to truly
Yes,
get to know that feeling.
if anyone has any form of depression or anger, do this. Do this. This was a relatively short version because we have a context here. You can do it. Start short. Don't look. Oh, I'll do it for now. No, start short.
Mhm.
You build up. It isn't like it's better if it's longer. That's no. It's whatever might be for the moment. Do it every day, like you breathe every day. Have this be part of your practice. Start
Yeah.
the day with go to the bathroom first. I mean, take care of biological necessity. And then before you go into your actual stuff of the day, do this. It'll make the day so much better. And your energy, what I call the go-to place, will shift. It'll become one of peace. And I know because it did for myself and many other people with whom I have worked. And I thank you so very much for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much for being with us today. This was beautiful, Audrey. I appreciate all of your insight and your wisdom and that beautiful practice. For everybody out there, definitely check out her website, audreynow.com. You can find her art, her books, courses, private sessions if this has inspired you to move in that direction. And there's definitely something there also there that we didn't talk about, which are her frequency stones. So I would
Oh,
definitely
really?
encourage you to. Do you want to
Okay.
give a little blurb about that before we finish up? And then,
Okay. So I'm an artist. And which I didn't know when I was younger. Anyway, so I'm an artist. And when I came to Costa Rica, I left my big canvases. I mean, I have canvases 5 feet by 4 feet. I couldn't traipse that with me. And so they have rocks here. And if a rock spoke to me and vibed, I started collecting them. And I meditate. I do the lifting process first. I do. before I do art, before I write, before I see a client. This is part of my practice. And then I paint them. And they become so gorgeous. And I paint every facet, every aspect of them. And it takes a while. It's not done in one thing because paint is wet. And I use acrylic. And when they're done, it could take whatever it takes. It depends, a week, 2 weeks, it depends. It depends on the rock, depends on the size, depends on a lot of stuff. When they're done, I marvel at who did these. I really have to, and I pray and I meditate and they live with me. I'm a healer, so they're filled with energy all the time. I love on them. And then I attach crystals to them. And then I sign them. I sign my art ASA. I'm Audrye Susan Arbe. That's ASA. And then they're available. If you like any of the ones on the site, let me know because I can ship them to you.
Beautiful.
Okay, from the United States.
Thank you so much. Well, I hope this episode leaves you uplifted and open to all the beautiful possibilities in your life of both being a human in this life and knowing that you are infinitely you're infinite. You're not infinitely, you're infinite. And so thank you, everyone. And we will catch you on the next episode. And for all the show notes and all the resources, definitely check out drlaramay.com/podcasts. And all of Audrey's links and phone numbers and contact information and website and all of that good stuff will be there as well. So thank you. And we will catch you. Thank you, Audrey. I appreciate you. Have a good day, everyone.
Bye.